And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hello, I'm National Weather Service meteorologist Peter Chan, and this is your Alaska aviation weather outlook on this Saturday, July 12th, 2025. And to set things up, as of this Saturday, we're going to be watching some moisture coming up out here across the Bering, way out west along the Kamchatka Peninsula. It's not going to initially have a lot of influence here across, especially the mainland of the state, but we are going to see an influx of moisture gradually increase back up across the interior as we get into early next week. It'll be relatively dry here Sunday, especially across the Yukon Flats, this area of the east central interior. Warmer temperatures, 70s, even a few isolated 80s. And we do have a number of active fires still across the interior, so there will be areas of localized smoke, reduced visibility, haze. Otherwise, by Sunday morning, we anticipate IFR conditions, areas of the Gulf, and then out across the Bering and offshore of the Beaufort Sea coast. Early next week, later Tuesday night and Wednesday, a low is going to come up toward and past east of Kodiak Island Wednesday morning. That's going to spread more rain and rain showers along the Gulf Coast. It's also going to try to push some more moisture further northward into the interior by midweek. So the main thing is that as the weather system comes out here into the Bering, this is warmer air aloft. It's going to be pushing northeastward, and that moisture will kind of reconstitute and be pushed up into across the mainland here starting Monday and especially Tuesday. And we could see some other episodes here as we go through the week. So expect areas of the interior to see an increasing chance of scattered showers and thunderstorms starting Monday and especially Tuesday and into the midweek period. Now here we are going to have some isolated to scattered thunderstorms Sunday afternoon along the Yukon River, the upper Kuskokwim, along the south of the Alaska Range, Tanana valleys, so keep that in mind. IFR conditions will be the rule out over the Gulf, some MVFR creeping upward into the southern middle panhandle. And then out here over the Bering, the Aleutian chain, seeing typical kind of IFR conditions when you have that push of warmer air. Now, here is where it shows up Monday morning. There could be an isolated thunderstorm right here in the central interior, just north of the Alaska Range. IFR conditions over the Gulf, but especially the Bering Sea, because there's going to be an influx of warmer air aloft coming in, which is very favorable to generate some lower stratus and fog in areas. And for Monday afternoon, the threat of showers and thunderstorms starts to shift a bit north. We could see some scattered storms, central eastern Brooks Range, also the Yukon Flats, 40-mile Gold Country, higher terrain, especially northeast of Fairbanks. And that milder air is going to continue northeastward, and the way it works is the moisture just kind of reconstitutes. It might not show up as a lot of precipitation initially in areas of southwest, but as it comes up over the terrain, get the daytime heating, it manifests in those scattered showers and storms. Anaktuvuk Pass here on Sunday is looking VFR up there in the east central Brooks Range. Same thing, Adigan Pass, VFR conditions expected Sunday. As we come down along the Alaska Range, Lake Clark and Merrill, there is a small chance, especially out along west entrance of Merrill Pass, maybe Sunday afternoon, early evening, of a isolated thunderstorm developing. Rainy Pass also could see a isolated storm develop within vicinity there on Sunday, but VFR being the general flight category. And then looking at Windy Pass, VFR with perhaps either side could be a thunderstorm develop within vicinity toward the Talkeetna Mountains and across the Alaska Range on the north side. Isabel Pass also could see a few showers or a thunderstorm develop within the vicinity of the pass with VFR conditions prevailing Sunday. Mentasta Pass, same thing. Maybe a shower thunderstorm developing within the vicinity of the pass and VFR there on Sunday. Tanita Pass coming down across the Copper River Basin also has that potential for a few scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms with VFR conditions. The rule, Portage Pass, generally VFR the length of the pass as you get out to Prince William Sound. East entrance there, MVFR. And then Chilkoot and White in the northern panhandle should generally see VFR conditions on Sunday. So looking at the freezing levels aloft, we can see the dome of warmer air over the mainland that extends into the Yukon territory with a local high point of freezing levels aloft of 10,000 feet along the Alcan border. And that extends, we find some temperatures aloft, the freezing levels aloft as high as 10,000 feet in the Gulf, 20,000 or 12,000 feet as you get into the North Pacific south of the Gulf. There is a pocket of cooler air aloft that's associated with low pressure south of the eastern Aleutians and southwest of the Alaska Peninsula. And that's part of the feature that will eventually be coming up here south of Kodiak Island on Tuesday afternoon and evening. And then back to the west, there is warmer air along and west of especially the western Aleutians. And this milder air aloft is going to come eastward across the Bering as we go through the early middle part of next week. So the best potential for icing, there's a little isolated icing possible in the intercoastal mountains here up toward British Columbia above 10,000 feet in the Panhandle. And then we have some pockets of isolated icing possible, Brooks Range, and down here in the southwest interior, a little more probable above 10,000 feet. But the most notable area we have out here to the west above 10 and 14,000 feet, because again, we have that dome of warmer air coming in from the southwest of the screen there, and then south of the eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula, perhaps a moderate icing above 8,000 feet. Now, the upper level jet stream pattern clearly shows why. We have this general troughiness that extends like this out over the eastern southeast Bering and then extending in toward the Gulf. And then right over here, we have like a step out of the way to show that. We have the 115 knot jet core at 30,000 feet out there into western Canada, cutting across the lower portion of the Panhandle. And then way off to the west, winds are generally northwesterly here over the western Bering, when we have some localized 130 knot wind maxes embedded within that. Now at 9,000 feet, we do have a little circulation here near the central Aleutians. We also have out here to the east a belt of mid-level winds at 9,000 feet, 700 millibars of 45 to locally as high as 60 knots into the British Columbia coast, extending out in the North Pacific. And for 3,000 feet, we find winds locally 30, 40 knots aloft and near some of the mountains here in the southern Panhandle, British Columbia, and extending southwestward, especially south-southwest there of Haida Gwaii, and then out to the further west up here toward the Bering Strait. We do find that there is some winds along the Kamchatka coastline up into eastern Russia, 30 to locally 40 knots, mainly from the southwest. So the greatest threat for turbulence on Sunday will be out here toward the Chukchi Sea from the Bering Strait, Wales, Shishmaref, up to Kivalina, Point Hope, Cape Lisburn. Could have some moderate turbulence, surface to 4,000 feet, and then an area way out toward the western Aleutians around and west of Shimia to Attu. You could find some moderate turbulence, surface to 3,000 feet on Sunday.